All right, folks, here we are. Welcome back. We already have a sphere. We have a cylinder. And now we have a cone. Now, the last of all the forms is a cube. I'm going to take a fair amount of clay. I actually kind of took some of the clay that was left over, like the extra spare parts, and I kind of put it together in this like makeshift slab. This is important to make use of all your clay, the extra clay and whatnot. This is fatigue. That's what fatigue looks like. When you start to squeeze it, it starts to kind of crack. It's a little drier than it would be right out of the bag. That's okay. I'm still going to work with it because I have to. I'm going to press this down into a pretty good sized slab. And with the cube, I'm going to break this up into two parts because we're going to have to like cut the slabs and then we're going to have to like dry them. And of course, it's been rainy today, so it's going to be even harder for me to dry these things. So I'm going to give you all extra time with the cube in order to make sure this stuff is dry. Okay. Pull out some guides again, aka matte pencils. And I'm going to try to tear this up into two parts. This slab's pretty big. I need a smaller slab. Okay. So there's one slab and two slabs. While I'm working with one, I'm going to cover the other one. Set my guides up real quick. Like so. Try to press this stuff down. Now, the cube is where measurement becomes really important. So bear with me on this. We're going to have to do a lot of work to get it measured. I'm going to flatten this out, so I'm going to speed this up. Okay, so now I have a relatively flat slab. I'm going to pull out a ruler because I have to start measuring this. This is where measurement becomes pretty important. I've asked y'all to get a 3-inch by 3-inch by 3-inch rough size for most of these forms. And I think we've hit that for the most part. I hope we have. But with a cube, it becomes especially important. So I'm going to set my ruler down. I'm going to measure out 3 inches by 3 inches. This is the upper limit on it. I'm going to make marks. That's 3 inches here to here. Also want to measure out 3 inches this way too. And there's 3 inches to right here. That is 3 inches to right here. Hopefully this is also 3 inches. And it's a little narrow. Should be okay. Okay, so there's my 3-inch square. The basis for our cube. I want to make a precision cut here, so I'm going to kind of use this rib. I think the rib's going to be the best for making these cuts. Okay, that's one slab. I can take this slab out. I can put it on a paper towel so it doesn't stick to the surface. I'm going to do that. There we go. Now we need another slab. 2 slabs, right? So I'm going to do the same process. Try to get all this pressed down as best I can. And you've seen this part on how we roll slabs, so I'm going to speed this up. Okay. That should work. Go ahead and clean up my guides right here so the clay doesn't dry on them. And we can do this fast, cheap, and easy. I can take my existing square and I can set it down right here on an edge, and I can just draw out the rest of the marks to try to get to a square. No ruler needed this time around. We already have a template. And there it is. It's a very nice template. Okay. Looks good. That gives us 2 relative squares. Let's set that right there. I'm going to take my leftover clay and try to squish it into a slab again. I think I can get one more square out of it. It looks like a can. Let's do one more run with the guides. I'm going to take this and use it as a template one more time. Let's lay this thing down here and draw out my square. All right, carefully peel that up. right, that's number 3. So now I have 3 slabs. They're all pretty much ready to go. Clean this tool off. And by go, I mean dry outside. So obviously, I'm going to have to let these things dry to stiffen up before I do anything else. But I want you to start at least thinking about how you're going to construct your cube. A cube has 6 faces. We have 3 here. So this is about halfway done. And I expect it to be 3 inches by 3 inches by 3 inches. So we also have to start scoring and slipping and then measuring on each edge to make sure that it will hold its form. So that combined with this, and already I'm starting to notice something. I've got overhang right here. So obviously I need to trim that up. Here's something else that I'm noticing too, is that this edge right here is also 3.5 inches. So I'm going to have to trim that up there, but it's also taller than 3 inches this way, which means I'm going to have to trim up that other edge too. So I'm going to wait for this to stiffen up, and then I can go ahead and make my cuts, because I want it to hit leather hard before I start cutting into it. So I'm going to take these slabs down and then let them air dry, preferably outside, but since it's so humid outside, it probably has a better chance of drying on the inside. So let's do that. Let's call it quits, I guess, for right now until this dries up, and then we can start to assemble the first half of the cube.
Okay, y'all, I just pulled these things back and they're a little stiffer, but obviously not drying as fast as I would like them to be. They're still a little flexible. I don't want to bend it too much because I have to keep these things pretty straight. So I'm just going to go ahead and assemble and kind of show y'all some of the problems that you're going to encounter when you're doing this. First things first, make sure that you have your water ready to go and you have a scoring tool. Scoring tool and water. So here's what I'm going to start with, this one on the base right here. And I'm going to set my second slab, align it with the edge. I'm going to draw a line right here. That'll tell me where I can score. And then we'll zoom in real quick here. And then what I don't need to score. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. I'm going to set this up on its edge so I can work on it a little further and try to create that connection point right there. Try to get this connected as best I can. Pull some clay in on itself. Try to get that connection point looking really good. Oops. Hitting things with my head. Now, that connection point looks a little better, but I don't trust it just yet because it's still a little wobbly. So I need to kind of like scratch this inside up as well, right there at the joint, all the way through. I'm just kind of like dragging clay in on itself like that. Then I can take a little bit of water, not too much, to kind of fill in some of those gaps, and I can kind of use a tool to press, or I can use my fingertips as well. Try to create that joint. If you use too much water, you're going to make the clay too soft and it won't hold its form. But this is working so far. I have a connection, and that's good. That's what I want. But I do want to show y'all something here. Let's measure this thing, because remember, each side should be 3 inches, no more than that. And what am I looking at here? I'm looking at 3¼ inches because I'm accounting for that right there. So what I need to do is I need to cut off about 1/4 on this side. So I'm going to kind of set my ruler down right here. That's fine. And I'm going to make a mark where I don't need, like 1/4 inch. So there's my 1/4 inch mark right there. I know that that's what I have to cut off. It's like right here. So I'm going to lay this thing down carefully. And I'm going to make an equal mark on this side, kind of eyeballing it. And I'm going to use my tool here to draw a line so I know what to cut. That's what I'm cutting right there. So I'm going to take this, go ahead and cut that part off. There we go. That's an extra 1/4 inch. Take my extra clay, and I'm going to ball it up over here. It's getting a little dry. I'm going to dunk it in the water. That is off screen. You cannot see. We'll wrap that up so it does not dry out. And now I have 2 sides ready to go. They are both 3 inches across. Let's double check. That's 3. And that is also 3. So success there. But this one is also 3. And I need to attach it. Now, I think I'm going to go this way with it. And I could do that, or I could go on top of it this way too, and then also go back and cut off a section towards the bottom that I don't need. Because if I do this, this adds 1/4 inch to this side, right? And also to this side too. And that means I have to go back and I have to cut 1/4 inch off here and 1/4 inch off there. It really depends on how you want to do it, because no matter what, you're going to have to make cuts. So if I do it there, I'm going to have to cut on the other side. If I score and slip it on flush like this, I still have to cut off edges here in order to make it 3 inches. And once I get this third side on, it will be much, much more solid. I think what I'm going to do, what I feel more comfortable with is I feel more comfortable with scoring and slipping on the edges here and then cutting off the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and do that technique. Okay, well, this is about halfway done on the cube, and I've also kind of weakened the walls a little bit. I don't want to do too much more to this today because it is still very, very plastic. And it needs to hit leather hard before I add any more to it. But one thing I do want to do is I want to measure. I want to make sure that I'm at 3 inches on my edges. So here to here is 3 inches. Good. Here to here, 3 inches. Yeah. Actually a little shy. Might have to like add a little bit more clay later on to that side. But let's check the longer edges. I happen to know that they are longer, but I want to show you all that same. It's wanting to follow me, so I'm gonna have to work quick. That is longer than 3 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and make my mark and then cut off that extra amount. Here it is. It's my 3-inch mark. I gotta cut right here. I'm gonna do the other side too. The 3-inch mark. And make it right there. So there is my, I can even use my ruler right here to like draw my line. There. I'm about to break my own form. So if I do that on this side, more than likely I need to do the same on this side. Let's check it out. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so this is 3 1/4. So I know that from this point out, and this is, actually that's about 3 inches. So really, to be honest, probably need to like flex this out a little bit to make sure that I'm hitting it. But that's 3 inches on that side. Then I'm going to end up having to kind of cut out a bevel on this side, since that's already 3 inches. So I'm going to kind of cut to that. This to that, kind of like that. And that should square it up. So I need to go ahead and do that using the straightest tool that I have, which is this right here. And that should be that. I'm going to rest it on its flat side here. Kind of flex this back in. And that's 1/2 of a cube.